For today's video, if you really want to understand the character I am going to discuss, you're requested to stay till the end of this video to understand the history's great mind hidden in the past. The year is 539 BC. Inside the greatest city on earth, a family is hiding. The father presses his hand over his little daughter's mouth. Outside their door, footsteps. Thousands of them. An army has just entered Babylon. And everyone knows what happens next. It has always happened. The men are killed. The women are taken. The city burns. The father closes his eyes and waits for the screams to begin, but the screams never come. Instead, something happens that had never happened before in human history. The conquering king walks into Babylon and sets the slaves free. Who was this man? Why did his enemies end up celebrating him? And why is his message, written in clay 2,500 years ago, sitting in a museum today, still waiting for our leaders to finally understand it? This is the story of Cyrus. To understand and do justice to this great and unique leader of history, you must stay till the end. To understand why that night was a miracle, you need to see the world Cyrus was born into, because it was a world built on terror. In the ancient Middle East, conquest had one language: cruelty. The Assyrian kings who dominated the region before Persia rose boasted openly about it, carving images of burned cities and chained prisoners into their palace walls like trophies. Entire nations were uprooted and marched hundreds of miles from their homes, families scattered on purpose so they could never rise again. Temples were looted, identities erased. This wasn't seen as evil, it was seen as how kingship worked. Fear kept order. Mercy got you killed. Every child in every city grew up knowing this one rule: when the conquerors come, everything ends. And then, around 600 BC, in the mountains of Persia, a boy was born who would break that rule forever. His name was Cyrus. We know him as Cyrus. He was born in Persis in today's southern Iran, into a world of divided, rival peoples. Ancient historians say his mother was a princess of the Medes and his father a Persian king, making the boy a living bridge between two nations that distrusted each other. Legends swirled around his childhood. The Greek historian Herodotus tells of a king who dreamed the boy would take his throne and ordered him killed as an infant, but the child was secretly saved and raised by a humble shepherd family. Legend? Probably. But here's what's interesting. People told these stories because they needed an explanation. How does one man unite enemies, conquer the world, and get thanked for it? Surely destiny was involved. The truth is more powerful than the legend, because what Cyrus did required no magic. It required a completely different way of thinking. Around 550 BC, Cyrus faced his first great test. He rose against the Median king, and won. And now came the moment every conqueror faced, the moment that defined them. Tradition demanded he crush the Medes, execute their nobles, burn their capital, enslave their pride. Instead, Cyrus did something that made the ancient world blink. He kept the Median capital as a royal city. He gave Median nobles positions of honor in his new government. Their soldiers joined his army, not as slaves but as partners. Yesterday's enemies became today's administration. Think about the psychology of that. Every Mede now had a reason to want Cyrus to succeed. This became his signature move, repeated across an empire. turn the defeated into the devoted. And with the Persians and Medes united behind him, Cyrus turned his eyes west, toward the richest king who ever lived. His kingdom in modern-day Turkey had invented something revolutionary: gold and silver coins, the world's first true currency. When war came between Lydia and Persia, Croesus was confident. Ancient historians say he consulted the famous Oracle of Delphi, which told him, "If you attack Persia, a great empire will fall." It did fall, his own. Cyrus outmaneuvered him, took his capital Sardis, and captured the richest man alive. Now, picture the scene every ancient reader expected next: the execution, the trophy. Instead, the Greek historians tell us, Cyrus spared Croesus and kept him close as an advisor. Read that again. The man he defeated became the man he consulted. Cyrus collected wisdom the way other kings collected gold. And every enemy to him was a free education. And then there was Babylon. Not just a city, the city. The largest and wealthiest on earth. Walls so massive that legend claimed chariots could race along the top of them. The Ishtar Gate rising in glazed blue brick, covered in golden lions and dragons. Ziggurats touching the sky. Inside lived hundreds of thousands of people from many nations, including generations of Jewish families, dragged from Jerusalem decades earlier by Babylon's kings and held in exile, dreaming of a home most of them had never even seen. Babylon had swallowed nations whole. No one swallowed Babylon. Its current ruler, Nabonidus, felt untouchable behind those walls. But he had a problem he refused to see. His own people were losing faith in him. He had neglected their beloved traditions and their chief god, Marduk. And in October 539 BC, Persian banners appeared on the horizon. Here is where history holds its breath. According to the Babylonian chronicles, records written by Babylon's own scribes, not Persian propaganda, the city fell with almost no battle. Many Babylonians, weary of their own king, did not resist. Some accounts say the gates were simply opened. And now we return to that hiding family from the beginning of our story. The footsteps outside their door. The waiting. Every story they had ever heard told them what came next. The fire, the chains, the end. But hour after hour passed, and the city did not burn. No doors kicked in. No temples looted. The Babylonian records describe something almost unbelievable. Cyrus entering the city in peace, greeted by crowds. Green branches spread before his path. The most powerful city on earth changed hands, and its children slept in their own beds that night. The nightmare never came. And what Cyrus announced next would echo for 2,500 years. Standing in the conquered capital of the world, holding absolute power, Cyrus issued his decrees. Temples would be respected and restored. The sacred statues that previous kings had stolen from other cities as war trophies would be returned to their original homes. And most stunning of all, the peoples deported and enslaved by Babylon's rulers were free to go home. Free to go home. Stop and feel the weight of that. In the ancient world, victory meant taking slaves, not releasing them. Conquerors erased nations, they didn't repair them. What Cyrus understood, and what almost no ruler before him grasped, is a piece of wisdom that still separates great leaders from failed ones today. People don't rebel against power, they rebel against disrespect. Give people their dignity, their faith, their identity, and they will give you their loyalty. Take those away, and no wall on earth will protect you. Among the freed were the Jewish exiles of Babylon. Both the Persian records and the Hebrew Bible tell the same story. Cyrus permitted them to return to Jerusalem, and even supported rebuilding their destroyed temple. The Bible does something extraordinary in response. It honors Cyrus by name, calling him God's anointed, a title given to no other foreign king. Picture that caravan leaving Babylon's gates. Grandparents who were dragged away as children, now walking home free. Young people seeing the road to a homeland they knew only from bedtime stories and songs of mourning. Because one conqueror made one choice. Here is a question worth pausing on. How many leaders in history could have their names blessed in the sacred book of a foreign people? That is not the reward of power. That is the reward of mercy. And Cyrus was only getting started. Now, a fair question. Beautiful story, but how do we know it's true? Maybe it's just legend polished by time? Here's the answer, and it's the best part. In 1879, archaeologists excavating the ruins of Babylon pulled from the earth a barrel-shaped clay cylinder, covered in dense cuneiform writing. When scholars translated it, they froze. It was Cyrus, speaking in his own words from 25 centuries away. On it he describes entering Babylon in peace, restoring the temples, sending the stolen gods home, letting the displaced return to their lands. Today that object, the Cyrus Cylinder, sits in the British Museum in London, where anyone, including you, can stand in front of it. And a replica is displayed at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Many call it the world's first declaration of human rights. Scholars debate the title, but no one can deny what it proves. This actually happened. By now Cyrus ruled the largest empire the world had ever seen, from the Aegean Sea toward the borders of India. Dozens of languages, countless religions, hundreds of proud ancient cultures. How do you hold that together without drowning it in blood? Cyrus's system was elegantly simple. He appointed capable governors, and gave them real authority, judging them by results, not flattery. He let every land keep its gods, its language, its customs. He listened more than he spoke. Ancient writers describe a king who genuinely questioned his advisors and rewarded honest answers, even unwelcome ones. Fear, he understood, can force obedience for a season. But only respect creates loyalty that survives hard times. Here's the proof. When most empires lost their founder, they shattered within years. When Cyrus died, his empire lasted another 200 years. He didn't just build territory. He built belief. Cyrus's wisdom refused to die with him. About 150 years later, the Greek writer Xenophon, a soldier and student of Socrates, wrote an entire book on his leadership, the Cyropedia, the Education of Cyrus. For 2,000 years it was studied like a manual for rulers. Renaissance princes read it. Machiavelli studied it. And across the ocean, Thomas Jefferson, the man who drafted the American Declaration of Independence, owned copies of it in his personal library. Sit with that image for a moment. A founding father of modern democracy, learning from a Persian king who lived 22 centuries before him. Real wisdom does that. It doesn't respect borders. It doesn't expire. It waits in books, in clay, in stories, for anyone hungry enough to pick it up. And that includes you, watching this right now. But Cyrus's greatest lesson wasn't in how he ruled, it was in how he saw himself. In Cyrus's world, kings called themselves gods. They demanded worship. Their names came with titles like King of the Universe. Cyrus had absolute power over millions, and ancient accounts describe something strange: restraint. He honored the customs of lands he visited instead of demanding they honor his. He shared credit with commanders. He described the ideal ruler as a shepherd, one who protects the flock and takes from it only what it can give, growing prosperous only by making his people prosper. A caretaker, not an owner. Notice the deep truth hiding there. Power doesn't build character, it reveals it. Anyone can be humble when they're weak. Humility costs nothing then. Cyrus was humble when he was unstoppable. When no force on earth could have punished his cruelty, he simply chose not to be cruel. That choice, made at the peak of power, is the rarest thing in human history. Around 530 BC, Cyrus died. Most accounts say on campaign along the empire's wild eastern frontier, though ancient historians tell different versions of his end. He was laid to rest at Pasargadae, his first capital, in a tomb so modest it stuns visitors to this day, a simple stone chamber on step platforms. No golden mountain. No palace of death. It still stands in Iran, you can see it. 200 years later, Alexander the Great, the man who conquered the Persian Empire itself, traveled to that tomb. And ancient historians record what happened. Alexander, conqueror of the known world, honored the grave, and ordered it restored and protected. Stop and picture it. History's most famous conqueror, standing in silence before the resting place of the man who did it first, and did it with mercy. Even Alexander understood. Cyrus achieved something rarer than victory. So here it is. The Hidden Treasure of Persian Wisdom, Episode 1. Fear dies with the tyrant. Mercy outlives empires. The Assyrian kings who terrorized the world, can you name one? But Cyrus's name is blessed in the Bible, carved in clay at the British Museum, honored at the United Nations, 25 centuries after his heart stopped. Because kindness, chosen at the height of power, is the only monument time cannot erode. Now the question comes to you. You may not rule an empire, but you have power over someone. An employee, a student, a person who owes you an apology and knows it. In that moment, you face the exact choice Cyrus faced at the gates of Babylon. Crush or lift. Be feared or be remembered. If this story moved you, subscribe, because next week we meet the Persian poet whose words are inscribed at the United Nations, Sheikh Saadi, the man who taught the world that all of humanity is one body,